Okay, folks, welcome to this morning's Saturday show. We're going to be talking about is your home fit for sale? Andrea, that's it. This is quite a good one for you, Andrea, isn't it? Is your home fit for sale? Because you're just going through that process right now with your mother's home, aren't you?
I am, yes. Good morning, Jim and Richard. Um, Unfortunately, my own home it would be nowhere near ready if it was to go for sale. But my mum's home, now that she's living with me, is an empty property, uh, just been fully refurbished in the inside, and it's now ready for sale. So just waiting for the photographs
Perfect.
and the
And
home report.
this is really all about keeping it in shape with our simple weekly workout. You know, because a lot of people actually leave it to the last minute and then they scramble about all over the place and think, God, I've got a mountain to climb. But the reality is, you know, if you keep your home in this, in shape every single week, and it's not really cumbersome at all. So, you know, whether your home is already on the market or is about to go up for sale, make sure it looks good as part for the viewings, the good part for the viewings, even though it's short notice. It is the way to get it sold. So, if you've ever visited show homes, you'll have experienced the uncompromising approach they have to presentation, because house builders know they'll get more money and faster sales overall. But given that nobody sleeps in your show home,
Yeah.
there's a thing, eh? You know, when you think about the logic of that, nobody actually sleeps in the show home. And when you go in and you go, wow, this is beautifully presented, that's because nobody's living in it.
Yeah.
What do you expect? There's an argument there, though, isn't there, to stage a property, if that's the case. You know, like the Americans do, they take all their furniture out, put it into storage, and they get their estate agent gets somebody in to actually stage the whole property from start to finish. So it actually looks like the show home, and it's never been lived in itself. So you know nobody sleeps in your home, in the show home, or turns the kitchen into chaos. These the simple weekly habits and swift daily hacks will keep you and your agent with calls with hot prospects as well. So what we're going to talk about this week, here's the 5 main subjects we're going to talk about for everybody who's tuning in. Prepare to launch or start again. Diving into your comfort zone, so it's quite important. Got a funny feeling that's to do with the bedrooms. Busting the dust with gusto, the sweet smells of success, and speedy morning rituals that you can do. And remember, cleaning and tidying is much more fun with music. So whether you're a fan of Beethoven or Beyonce, get ready to grab your marigolds. That's gloves for everybody, just in case it's like marigolds. I'm going to be running about with, it's no the Smiths, is it? I'm going to be running about with flowers in my hands. So marigold is gloves, by the way. It's a brand new.
Yeah.
So press play and we can get started moving. So the thing I want to talk about, first of all, is begin with an initial warm-up. What's your thoughts on this, Richard? Where are you? Where are we with this with initial warm-up? What should we be doing? How should we be doing it? And how easy will it be for someone to do?
Yeah. I mean, you're absolutely right when you talk about the show home presentation. I mean, it is sometimes really spectacular, but you need to think about obviously people actually living in a house. And I've done viewings in properties, and what really stands out to people is that they could see how people live in it, especially family homes, and you could see how it could relate to them. And there's an easy way to keep that feeling, but also have it nice and tidy. And then whatever stage you're at with selling your home, a deep clean and a thorough declutter are the foundations of a really successful first launch and a fresh start to obviously the whole process. So
Yeah.
and this is a really important one, I think, to start with, is washing the windows inside and out. Dirty windows are so off-putting, and if you're inside looking out or vice versa, and have them done really regularly, you get a lot of things where you could, I mean, window cleaners are quite scarce nowadays, to be in this area anyway. And a lot of people do it themselves. You get these handheld karchers and things as well. So particularly in the brighter months, as we come into the sunnier months of the year, when the sun really shows these dirty panes of glass, make sure your windows
You
are
would
clean.
think that's stating the obvious, and you know, washing your windows inside and out. But when I go around to a lot of properties when they're thinking about considering them for sale, and even when I come round to do my videos and stuff like that, sometimes I think to myself, you've not even washed the windows. It's
Yeah,
like,
especially if there's a
and you
nice
maybe
view.
even got, maybe the best thing is the spectacular view out the back or
Yeah.
out the front or from the top window, and it's like, oh my god, just for. So, you know, the thing about common sense is not that common. We've got to
Yeah.
think about that, and you know, washing your windows is probably washing windows is one of the key core standards for selling your house. Because it's the first thing that everybody looks to. It's the first thing that the natural light comes in as well. What's your thoughts on that, Andrea?
Well, I see windows like your eyes. You know, they say that people's eyes, see into their soul, and the windows of a house are like seeing into the soul of the property, but also out of it as well. You know, if you've got a beautiful back garden or a great view, you want to be able to see that unobstructed. So, you know, keep the curtains wide open as possible, even if you have to have curtains. You know, do without them if you possibly can, and make the most of the views.
Yeah, definitely. I buy into that every single time. The more amount of natural light you can bring into a room, the more appealing it looks to someone when they walk in the door. There's something about the you know, when it catches the natural light at the back of your eye and it sends that signal to your brain. It's all that psychological thing. You know, whereas you walk in and you've got you've got imitation light, and you've not got that much windows, it feels constricted. It feels like you need to try and escape. It almost feels like a prison in terms of that. I've seen that before. I've actually Stirling University built their student accommodation like that, and it didn't go very well at all because they had built it almost with the lack of windows and the lack of natural light coming in, and even in the hallways as well, there were just dark corridors with breeze block either side, and just walking. So there was no natural light coming into there either. So it didn't go across very well. What's the other things we've got to think about then when we go through this list?
Well, obviously, natural light and having clean windows is so important, but also to declutter, clear those cluttered areas, and also too much furniture in certain rooms really make space to maximise the sense and the airiness of a space. If it's got that potential, show it as that. And you could find that balance all while still living in a property without having too much clutter and too much furniture. We actually done a blog. There's 4 ways to declutter. The blog link is attached to this post, so guys can click in and have a look at that, because and that delves really into obviously decluttering and obviously making space with with rooms that have got too much furniture and things in there. So that's a really good one, and that could help you find the perfect method to declutter and make some more space.
I think decluttering is the most important thing as well. Again, this is all the basics you would think you would do. You know, wash your windows, start decluttering. For me personally, the most thing to declutter is more than likely it's the kitchen, it's the worktops, because we amass a huge amount of goods. I mean, like air fryers, like microwaves, like juicers, and they all go in the worktop. You know, the toaster, and the next minute you walk into a kitchen, you look at the worktop, and you think, "Geez, where am I going to put anything?" But you don't realise that half that stuff. So the best advice I can give anybody, when you walk into a kitchen, is get rid of most of the stuff on the worktop so you can. Even for temporary measure, if you have to put it into your cupboard, and keep it out of the way, just for things like video and photograph and that beforehand, it'll make a fundamental difference in people's minds, because they've got their own stuff, their own clutter. Let's just put it at that. They've got their own clutter just to take with them and put there. So if they don't see any space at all, regardless of, a lot of people just can't see, psychologically when they walk into a room, they can't see the fact that all that stuff's going. They just look at it and think, "Oh my God, that's a
Where am I
huge
going to
amount."
put where am I
Where am I
my
going to put my stuff? Well, you're not
I've
keeping the existing owner stuff.
I've noticed recently, I've watched a lot of these makeover programs, and they'll build, a kitchen makeover, but they'll build in a big utility area and with a lot of worktop in it, and you see the people's food mixer, their juicers, and their microwaves all into the utility room out of the kitchen.
Yeah,
And I feel it's an awful lot of wandering about. It's not what I would do, but it's certainly out of the way. But then they're just cluttering up another worktop in another room.
I suppose if you're using it once in a blue moon, then it probably is efficient and effective to use it like that, because then most of your preparation is going to be used in your worktop for food preparation for cooking as well. After all, that's what a kitchen was for in the first place, just primarily for cooking. but all of a sudden it's now become, for some people, it's now become a social space. You know, where you've got the breakfast bars, you've got the dining kitchens, sometimes you've got the open plan kitchen and dining and living room. So there's a huge experience to encompass, and what is kitchens nowadays in terms of social living spaces.
Yeah, they definitely are. And I think as well, to think about the outside space and think about adding that kind of al fresco finesse, and really making an extension to the kitchen as well. I'm actually going to be trying to do that myself. Like, so you've got that flow from a kitchen into the back garden and creating even more kind of outdoor living spaces. It's a really big plus for any property. And then as well, to think about your curb appeal and just your garden, or if it's a small balcony, and keeping things like the grass trimmed and weeding pots and flower beds and things as well. Jet washing as well. We were talking about this a couple of weeks ago, Jim. Jet washing your patios and your decks and things, and you don't have to do it yourself. There's a lot of really good companies that do that as well, and it can make all the difference to an outside space and making it look fresh.
I'll be honest. I visited somebody just this week, and it was a property I'd been with previously, and we'd sold a bit, and we went back in the door. They spent 100,000 on doing it up inside, and I looked at the garden to the side. It had never been touched. Nothing. And the garden was, and to me, a lot of the well, especially how close it was to the beach and sitting in the sun. And I thought to myself, you're going to spend a lot of time in this garden, and yet it was just a lick of paint and a couple of bit of repairs, and you've spent all that money in the house. But the garden is just as important nowadays as anything, especially if you're sitting in the sun most of the day. And yet, Nethergate North, I just did a pre-portal on the other day, and their garden's spectacular at the back. You know, it sits in the sun all the time. And then their back courtyard at the back of their house as well is all nice and paved and low maintenance with a timber decking and the shed to the side. So their separate garden's got a way up at the back of the property itself. You've got to walk all the way around to get to it. But I tell you what, it's a stunning location in terms of what you could do with that garden, and it was really a blueprint when you looked at it. So these are the main things. So the main things that we talk about to begin with initial warm up, just the core standards of getting your property ready or keeping it in tip top shape, is actually, we'll just recap. It's make sure your windows are clean and clear, and you've got natural light coming in. It's making sure things are clutter free and clear, and not over furnished in certain rooms and kitchens and living rooms, and line of sights are kept open to things like the windows and stuff like that, especially if you've got a beautiful bay window. And then also make sure your garden is up to standard, especially at this time of year, because it's going to grow pretty quick, especially in spring and summer. Everything's just like, you've cut the grass and then the next week it's up again. So it's one of these things you've got to keep on top of. But if you keep on top of that and put that effort in, and then that'll pay rewards when it comes to putting your house on, won't it?
Yeah, definitely. And you're right, this time of year, especially as you come from April into May, and you've got things like April showers. It's raining one minute, sunny the next, and your garden just shoots up. But you're right. Yeah. But getting that right from the start really will make it easier and quicker to keep your home looking at its absolute best. And that'll be from the day you hit the market to the day you make your sale.
So for you, Richard, the one thing, and we're going to come at the next subject, is, and I'm not, I'm never the big fan of fabrics and all the rest of it, but, when we talk about plump up the volume, we don't mean, like pump up the volume about noise and sound and volume. What we mean is about presentation when it comes to fabrics and design and, what you've got in your house. So what is your thoughts on this?
I always get pinned as the interior designer.
Of course you do. Your house looks fabulous. My house is just the basic efficiencies.
No, it's true though. But with the right presentation and like we say, like fabrics and it could really evoke the sumptuous atmosphere of like boutique hotels and things, and interior design stores, and like we say, even the show homes that we say that. I don't live in a show home, but do you know that kind of feeling where you've got that on trend feeling when you walk in, and it really appeals to people. And it also makes your photos look great, and it softens a room's acoustics as well if you've got things positioned correctly as well, especially if you've got big rooms, high ceilings. If you walk in and feel like it's a big empty room where your voice is echoing back at you, it could feel a bit cold and drab. Whereas if you position items of furniture and things on the wall correctly and have the right colour palettes and things as well, it creates that great feeling when you walk in, and people relate to it very well.
Andrea, what's your thoughts?
I think it's great to have, it's wonderful to go into a house and just see it looking perfect. Nobody really can live in a perfect house and keep it looking perfect all the time. But I mean, there's the little things that you can do that will make people say, "Oh, that looks really nice."
Yeah.
And you know, the way that you coordinate your colours. If you've got a fairly sparse room, even just a dash of colour in the corner, a vase or a cushion, a throw, can make all the difference. It just lifts the room. But the people that are viewing it can see possibly their own furniture, their own selves living in that property. Because it's not overcomplicated.
It's trying to find that balance of your own style and trend, but being able to allow people to see themselves living there as well.
I mean, the majority of people do take the furniture they've got in one house to their next home. There's not an awful lot of people would say, right, I'm just going to leave everything, or I'm going to start off anew with new furniture. And quite often you'll see quite dated furniture going into a brand new house.
And that's when I say to most, that's when I would say to most people tuning in and listen to later on, is if you're going to buy new furniture for your next house, and it fits in your existing house now, then get rid of your old stuff and put your new stuff in your existing house just now. And I know you think, oh well, I'll have to move it twice, but you're not. But it's going to pay dividends anyway, purely for the fact that it's the showroom aspect. If you walk in, it's the smell as well. See the smell that new furniture has. They must bottle that stuff and spray on it, like they do with the cars. It's
compared
just that
with the smell that old furniture has.
Yeah, compared to the smell of old furniture, like maybe just food and milk spills over the years with bottle feeding and stuff like that. All these different things that you've had, nights out and wine spills on the carpet, and you've had to clean it up, and animals and stuff. All these different things. That all goes away when you put new furniture in. So possibly the best point is, if you're going to get new furniture for your new house that you're moving to, then do it now and put it in your existing house, and then take it with you later on, because it will improve it. I mean, living rooms and bedrooms and bathrooms are right for turning into enticing comfort zones. So the insider tips, Andrea, the insider tips for styling experts. What do you think?
Well, firstly, you really need to smooth out any of the fabrics on the seats and the backs of sofas. Make it look really good, the armchairs, and then plump up any of the scatter cushions that you've got there. Just make it look like somebody wants to go in and sit on it. And quite often people do go in and sit on the seat, especially if there's a view out the window. They want to get the feel of what it would be like to live there, and maybe reading a book, having a cup of tea and looking out the window at the view. So make it comfortable for them, that they can do that. In the bedrooms as well, you need to make sure that the pillows on the beds are fluffed up. Maybe have a wee row of cushions in front of it in a coordinating colour, and then fold the duvet where it meets them and smooth it out. Nobody likes a wrinkled bed. And if you want any extra bonus points, you can put a throw at the bottom of the bed.
Yeah, and I'll qualify really nice. I'll qualify what I'm about to say next for Andrea's benefit. If you've got any kids' toys lying about in the bedroom, then make sure you put them away adequately in the appropriate place, so they're not so you've not got the room cluttered. I just emphasize kids' toys.
It's amazing how many listing pictures I've seen that the bed is not made, or it's not made correctly, or it's just thrown together, and it's a hate of mine. And I couldn't, if I was listing a property, I would be like, I just couldn't anyway.
Or you see the storage boxes and all the wires and cables and everything underneath the bed. Which obviously is going to show somebody, even before they've gone to visit the property, but from the pictures, that there isn't enough storage room in that property.
Maybe the decluttering one that we just did, you know, that one that we did a few months ago, the decluttering and adding value to the space and for your perfect method of your home. In the previous, on this article itself, you can click into that and read that. But the great thing for me about the decluttering one is it actually told you how to systematically declutter in the beginning before you even start your journey. It's about having, I mean, for me, the 3 different box approach is perfect. It's just take every item you've got, you've had sitting under your bed, on top of your wardrobe, in the attic or something like that, and say to yourself, am I keeping this, am I throwing this away, or is it a maybe? And then if you're keeping it, it goes in the keep box. If you're throwing it away, it goes in the throwaway box and the maybe. Right now, you've got to the end of all your different stuff for that particular room. And then what you do is you chuck away what you're getting, you keep what you're covering, and then you start again with the maybe box. And you do, am I keeping it? Am I throwing it away, or is it still a maybe? And systematically, you'll break that down, and eventually, at some point in time, you'll be left with all the stuff you're throwing out and all the stuff you're keeping. And that is it in a nutshell. That's how to do it systematically and declutter your house, room by room. So it's not encumbrant. It doesn't feel overwhelming, because when you look at your house and you think, God, have I amassed all these? I mean, we've got about 35, 40 years worth of stuff.
My mother's house is the same, and it's just.
I know, and there's stuff that I've never ever used ever again. And I keep saying, Elaine comes along to me and says to me, are you needing this? I went, oh my God, Elaine, I've never used that for 20 years, but because you've asked me, the answer to that is going to be yes. I says, see, if I've never used it for 20 years and it's no of any particular value or historic interest, chuck it and just don't tell me.
Don't show me it.
I'm never going to know. But if you ask me whether you should chuck it or no, and I've had it for 20 years, I'm probably going to say, leave it just now.
Yeah.
I'm a bit like that as well, and I must admit, emptying out my mother's house, and it's been probably slightly harder because she is still alive, and there are items now that she's saying, where did I put that?
You talked about that as if that was a problem.
I said, Mum, that went away. You hadn't
She's still alive.
No, but if somebody has passed away, yes, it's very, very difficult, and I need to be sensitive about this. You know, dealing with a deceased's belongings and knowing what to do with them and putting them away. But when the person's still alive and then they ask you, where did it go? Have I still got that? Oh, that was my favourite jacket. And you think, Mum, you had 4 wardrobes full of clothes. You know, you couldn't bring them all into one wardrobe here. So, but no, it's taken me a good 4 months to get a property that somebody's lived in emptied. But I did use the same decluttering methods that we talked about there. And now everything's in my garage waiting to be sorted out further. But, you know, give yourself time. You can't just do it. Don't even attempt to try and do it in a weekend. Give yourself time.
What about things like bathrobes, towels, all the rest of it? What should we be doing with that, Andrea?
Well, you want them neat. If you're going to have things like that in the bathroom on display, you want it to be neat. You want them to be clean. You want them to be folded on shelves or on a towel ladder, or you could hang them up on hooks and make a decorative feature of them. But just, you know, neatness is the main thing. You don't want it to look like somebody's just thrown it.
You make a good point there, Andrea, about do you know, when you've got towels and things on display in bathrooms that don't get used, they're there for purely decorative purposes or aesthetic. But then remember that they do collect dust, so you have to maybe give them a wash or wipe them down or whatever. Do you know, if they're there just for decoration purposes and not being used.
Personally, for me, I mean, you said that about the towels and stuff like that. Personally, for me, sometimes I think it actually looks more attractive when you go around the property and it's set out like almost like a holiday home. You know how the towels are on the beds, all nice and neatly folded up, just at the bottom of the bed in the middle and centre, and they're all fluffy and all the rest of it. And for me, it kind of gives you the impression like, if you buy this house, this is going to be, you know, some sort of home from home or whatever, even though it's going to be your main house. That sort of holiday feel, and you're going to enjoy it. It almost puts that psychological aspect. I don't know if you guys would get this. If you put that psychological aspect about this is going to be divine, because that's the impression that gives.
Yeah,
It would make
definitely.
me feel that it would be a standard that I would have to try and keep up, which might not be possible.
Yeah, I suppose some people might think like that, but I feel like you, Jim. It's like if you go and stay in a holiday home, you get that feeling when you get there, and it's got all the nice towels and things. So it does create that kind of feeling.
Yeah, definitely. As a bonus, I think textiles are also the fastest way to inject some on-trend style with zero decorating. You know, just textiles is perfect. So make the most of what you've got already and add some extras where the space feels bare. I think that's the best aspect of that. You know, probably the next one we're going to talk about is dust away the heartache. It's unavoidable, isn't it? Dust.
Dust is awful. Yeah, my mum has Venetian blinds, you know, the metal slatted type, and I bought one of those three-pronged things with the cover over them that you put over the blind.
Yeah.
Except it's not wide enough to do any more than one at a time. And I was going along, and I thought, yeah, it'd be quicker just putting a glove on and taking a glove along. And doing it. I ended up
You get these the
closed the
magnetic
blinds
ones as
down
well.
and took a duster over all the front of them. It was much quicker. So
it could easily build up. You know why? Because and I know this from because my very first career was I was in cleaning when I first started out from school. So the one thing because we are into habits about where we clean every single day, we often forget other places because it's just a habit. All the different things. That's why when you walk into some restaurants and that, you look at a certain area and you think, God, that's thick with dust, and yet everywhere else in the restaurant's actually perfectly clean. It's just because we're getting a habit of cleaning the same thing all the time and not noticing anything else around it. It's the difference between foveal and peripheral vision in terms of how we're looking at it. So everybody becomes quite foveal and directed and focused on where they're cleaning every single day, and they systematically do that. That's how sometimes you're better to rotate the person that actually cleans. There's a suggestion. Standing up for the people that actually do all the cleaning in the house. Maybe there's a suggestion for you. It's say that Jim said that maybe we should rotate the people that clean to make sure the house is properly cleaned all the way throughout and all the bits I've got, because sometimes there'll be things that I'll forget. That's an easy pass that on to someone else.
It's funny because I've actually had a conversation with someone the other day there, and they said, oh, you know, how busy they were cleaning the house in preparation for the cleaner coming.
Cleaning for the cleaner coming.
Oh, I've seen it. I've heard that. Definitely. I know a few people like that. They've cleaned their house before the cleaner. This is my thing about the dishwasher. Let's clean the plates before we put them in. Sorry.
That's crazy. I mean,
what's the dishwasher for?
To be fair, I do rinse them.
Basically, just clean them by hand.
Yeah, but yeah, you're right, Andrea. The one thing for me as well, like Venetian blinds. Obviously, since we got the dog, I've noticed that. And then you do think, I mean, dust is unavoidable, and if anybody's got pets, they'll know that it just makes it even worse. But if it's left unchecked, it could really, and like you say, Jim, you concentrate on the same places, forget about places like up high or on the blinds and things as well. And it makes a home on every surface in the house dust, and you can't get away from it. But and it leaves things looking really dull and downy, and you really need to save your home from a similar fate and have that weekly blitz. And even have that weekly blitz on a rota rotation between. But yeah, definitely keep on top of the dust in the home because it can build up, and other
kitchens and bathrooms are one for me. I think kitchens and bathrooms have got a golden opportunity to make them shine, especially when you've got chrome taps, and actually just making sure they're all nice and clean. And then you've got white sinks and white baths as well, which is what most people have nowadays, unless you've still got a suite from the 1970s or 1980s. Avocado.
That's in the garage now, that one.
Yeah.
Waiting to be dumped.
I'll come back. Hey, keep a hold of it. Come back in fashion.
Well, if anybody wants it, get in touch.
Put it on eBay in the antique section.
It is just a toilet and pedestal wash and basin, but it's perfect.
But it is definitely the kitchens and the bathrooms are definitely, and things like your grout. You know, your grout is essential. You've got grout on your tiles. Just bleach it. You know, you don't need to dig it all out. If you bleach it, it just gets rid of all the black. in there, all the dirt. It's in it. It just bleaches the dirt, to be honest, but it kills all the germs as well at the same time. And then you've got a defective, if you've got a seal on around your bath as well, it's got a bit of dirt in it. You know, try bleaching it. If it doesn't bleach, just cut that bit out and put a bit of seal in. It just makes that fundamental difference in people's minds when they walk into a bathroom, and then the smell. And we've got to say it, pine. You know, bathrooms are always, as soon as pine gives the impression of fresh straight away. You know, again, this is all subliminal. This is all programmed into us through advertising.
Yeah, clever marketing.
Typical example, Flash. Yeah, you take Flash and you put Flash in, and that exact smell that Flash has got, no matter if your place is falling down round about you, if you put that in, there'll be somebody that walks into that room and says to themselves, "Oh, yeah, we could sort this. It's quite fresh as it stands," just because of that. Just because of that smell.
Yeah, I'm a great believer. Just bleach for cleaning things like grout and all those areas, Jim's really good. But obviously, we are kind of conditioned by the marketing of Flash and things to associate those smells and those products with the clean. But I will tell you that, and I'm not a big fan of like loads of named products and things as well, but for getting the chrome taps and things to shine, the blue Flash spray is amazing at making them really shine, and it has that smell as well that you associate with the clean. Yeah.
But my question here is, if you really do the shake and vac, does it really put the freshness back?
And does Flash clean baths without scratching?
Yes, there you go.
I don't know if I've heard that one. That's maybe
oh, it's an old one, Richard.
No, it's an old one, aye. Because it was aimed at Jeff. It was aimed at Jeff at the time, because Flash went. Obviously, Jeff came onto the market at the time and competing against Flash. And Flash's campaign was obviously a dig at Jeff, saying, you know, it scratches your bath more or less, without actually clearly saying it's Jeff at that time. And that's what Jeff did. It's now called Sif, I think, because that's the European name for it.
Yeah.
But exactly, Andrea. That, you know, it's amazing how we remember all these things, and clever marketing campaigns, and in order to get into people's mindset and disrupt. This comes back to the hand swifter you talked about. You know, for your Venetian blinds. To make light work of dusting and sideboards and consoles and shelves, dining tables, coffee tables, nightstands, chest of drawers, and dressing tables. Now, personally, for me, when I'm doing anything like that, yes, I do clean the house. I do take my turn, especially when Elaine's coming back from holiday. Right, guys, get the boys, get the boy. Ben, Scott, come on, we'll have to do a blitz of the house before Elaine comes back, before your mum comes back. So it's just basically blitz the house. It's like Glastonbury all week while your mum's away, and then when she comes back, it's like, let's blitz the house. And that's how we know about all these wee tricks about, you know, just if you're not really sure and you don't get a chance. If you don't get a chance, here's a handy tip for you. If you don't get a chance to clean your house just before the viewing, just run round and spray Flash into the plug holes and down your toilet and stuff like that, or even in a wee corner, and just give it. Don't put it in the air, because it might choke somebody when it comes down and they're breathing in. But just put it in the corners. And that makes a fundamental difference overall as well, because it gives that impression. So, and it's the things like dusting. So if you're dusting, spray it onto the duster, your polish. Don't spray it onto the surface, because you could end up damaging it. Spray it on the duster and then dust it across the surface. It makes a fundamental difference, and it doesn't leave streaks. Vacuuming floors and rugs is quite important as well. Dogs, cats. You said it, Richard. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, definitely. Running the Hoover across it, if you walk into a property and the floors are not vacuumed, it's really off-putting. Even if you take your shoes off at the front door, the final destination for dust is always on the lowest surface. So yeah, vacuuming the floors and the rugs and things is really important. And yeah, a bit like the feeling after the first coffee of the day, a dust-free room feels really energized and uplifting. And you get these, when you're talking about dusting and things, Jim, you get these magnetic ones now, and they're really good for the blinds, Andrea. And the dust sticks there, because sometimes you feel like you're just moving dust around. So they're really good things. And really, it's an ideal combination for enthusing your viewers when they come in to dust-free, clean surfaces and vacuum floors and rugs.
Okay, so just to recap then, for the dust and heartache things, and making sure your house is all prepared, kitchen surfaces, bathroom areas as well, make sure everything's just wiped. You don't need to polish anything when you're doing coffee tables and stuff like that. Just wipe it. Make sure there's the appropriate smell. It's attached to it psychologically to make people think it's fresh, it's clean, and then also make sure you hoover any hair up and fur from pets, from dogs or cats, or you know, if you've got things like gerbils and stuff like that, or birds. You know, people still keep birds in their house, parakeets. Overall,
yeah,
so
they could have a lot of dust, and
the
but
dust from birds is horrendous. It's a very,
oh,
very fine dust you get from birds, and
is it called?
clings to
Do
everything.
you call it? Is it
The
dander?
dander.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. So this is where we next take a leaf out of Michael Jackson's book and say, "Don't stop till you freshen up." Like I did that. I wasn't going to sing it though. So what are we talking about when we're talking about this headline then? Don't stop till you freshen up.
Well, when your home smells fresh and light and, you know, naturally scented, that the buyers will really love that experience, and it's something that they'll remember about it. So people remember aroma, so treat the olfactory senses, that's your nose, for those that don't know, to continual moments of pleasure. Leave the windows slightly ajar so the house doesn't get that sort of musty smell to it, especially if it's an empty property. And there's nothing better than the new mown grass smell coming in. So have your house windows open when your grass is getting cut. And if you've got lots of flowers and things, the smell from your garden will come into the house. You want natural perfume of plants and flowers as well. Herbs are good. So mint, you just rub a few mint leaves, even out in the garden. I know we're talking about inside the house at the moment, but outside you want that to smell nice as well. You don't
have window boxes and things as well.
Yeah. What you want to avoid is cooking really horrible smelly things. So stay clear of curries and kippers and
especially if you've got viewers due to come.
Wait till the viewer's been, and then you can celebrate with a curry after it, you know, or Indian or whatever it is you're having. Because you're right, it just leaves that horrible smell right through the whole place, and especially if you're cooking as well. Because I know myself, I mean, I cook a lot of Indian stuff from scratch, and it's ginger and it's garlic every single time. It goes into everything, and then when you're pan frying that, I tell you what, it smells wonderful and it tastes wonderful. But the next day,
it lingers,
lingers, and it even sticks on everything. It
goes on everything. Fabrics and things in the house.
So if you're going to do stuff like that, make sure you've got a good extractor on. Make sure you've got the doors closed to the other rooms in the house. If you've got no other choice, and that's really what you want to do beforehand. But I would really suggest, and I'd definitely suggest that just wait till the viewing's done before you celebrate with anything like that. It'll be worth its weight in gold. Remember, this is about selling your house. It's not about anything else other than that. And you're only going to be selling your house for, on average, right now in Fife, it takes 2 months to sell a house. So on average, you're going to put your sell out for maybe 2 months on average. That's it, and we're done. You're sold, done and dusted. And you don't need to do that again, because the average person moves within about 10 years. So you're not going to do that for a long time ever again to sell your house again. So it's a one-off. It's not going to happen all the time. So just delayed gratification. That's what it's all about.
A small sacrifice to get things across the line quicker.
Yeah. So what about essential oils and sort of an atomizer, with reeds and things to put an aroma around rooms? It's a sort of a subtle way of doing it. Or when you just go for, before the viewing happens, go around every room with the air freshener. What way do you think's best?
For me personally, I've walked into some people's houses and actually just quickly looked in the kitchen cupboard and found the air freshener, and I've sprayed it downwards in the room because you don't want to spray it upwards, as I said, because it catches in people's throats, and some people can be, have an allergy towards it when they're going round, and it could irritate them, their nostrils, irritate their throat or their lungs or anything like that, and that'll put them off, because they'll be more focused on that than anything else. So just spray it down if you're going to do that. But I'm a big fan, and you'll know it every time, Richard, as well, is the gel packs that you get, You know,
Yep.
you get 3 for £1.50 at Home Bargains, something like that, or £2, whatever it is. You take the gel pack air freshener, you pull the front off, you put it behind the back of the door, and it keeps fresh all the time. It
They
keeps
are
the room
really good.
fresh all the time. Yeah, and
They're good for just that subtle scent. Because what
yeah,
I found as well,
behind a curtain on a ledge as well is
yeah,
a good way to put it. And then behind doors as well. It's somewhere where no one would really actually their eye would draw to, where you'll put it, because it'll just scent the whole room. And if you get lavender or cotton or spring
fresh linen or
fresh,
something. Yeah,
linen or something like that, it'll make a fundamental difference in people's mindsets when they walk in that front door, because that's their first impression. They do not want to smell your stinky boots and trainers when they walk in the door. That's often what you do smell
Yeah.
with some people. And it's great. It shows it's a boot room, but the reality is no one wants to smell it.
yeah. Do you know
Just
what?
like example, for God's sake, didn't go to the toilet before you before you do the viewing. Or ask to use the next door neighbours if that's the case.
There's also something to be aware of, and I know they're really popular now, and it's oil and wax burners and things, and they're great. I've got one as well, but I've walked into a property that's I'm going to do a viewing in, and the buyers have obviously left to do the viewing or whatever, and they've got oil burners or wax burners, but they've got a different one in every room. They've got 2 or 3 of them on the go, and they're all different scents, and it's overpowering, and it's quite off-putting. It's a bit overkill with it. So be careful with that and not introduce too much different strong smelling things. It could really overpower somebody and put them off.
Yeah, with oils and atomizers, I've got to say, I'm still a bit nervous about them, especially having pets, because that could, we all know now that if a pet knocks it over and it hits them, it'll burn them. And so I'm always nervous myself with using them. I'm nervous as well about the stories about plug-in diffusers. And the things that could happen with them. So I generally, as I said, I just go for the gel packs, and I go for I'm a big fan of not putting much foreign bodies, if that makes sense, into your lungs
in the air and
when you're smelling. Because remember, that goes into, I mean, this is like vaping, isn't it? On a smaller scale. And if we're talking about vaping being an issue here, then you're certainly not wanting to continue to for candles and inhaling that all the time in your room. It's nice and it's an ambient feel, but constantly doing that, it can't be good for you. It can't be good for you. So I think a lot of things as well is open all the windows beforehand. If it's not too cold, let all the freshness in, and then before you're about to do the viewing, close all the windows again.
Fresh air sometimes, like you're saying, keep it natural, Jim. Fresh air is maybe one of the best ones, just to have a nice aerated, fresh room. And it's not that stale. Do you know, if it's the windows are never opened, that's a horrible. You could tell when you walk into a room if the windows have never been opened.
It's a good one as well to actually, if you're next to an open countryside and you've not got very many cars or anything or any activity going on around about your house or outside on the pavements or anything, then it's maybe worth leaving the window open to hear the sounds of all the birds. Because often I've gone round in a video out the back garden or through the front garden, or when I'm doing the introduction, and I've said, I'm just going to be, I mean, it's difficult for me to be quiet most of the times, as everybody knows. Once I get started, you can't stop me. But sometimes I just think, Jim, shut up for a minute, because that sound in the background is absolutely amazing, and just let that do the work for you.
Yeah, I done that recently at my listing up at Pete Inn, and I got to the back garden. And I just stood for a minute because all the birds were chirping and the sun was out, and just created that great country garden feeling.
Whereas I have to tell them to shut up at 3 o'clock in the morning because I'm next to the glen. It's like triple glazing, quadruple glazing. Will everybody be quiet? Put my earplugs in. I can't get back to sleep.
Would you say that there's maybe an optimum earliest time for a viewing to take place to allow a house to breathe a bit in the morning after everybody's been sleeping? Because houses do have a different smell in the morning after somebody's
out the day.
Do you know what? I actually think early morning at weekends is the best time to do viewings. And the reason for that is because early morning, in my belief, every time I get up for, cycling or running or anything like that, the skies are blue and there's hardly any cloud and it's not overcast and the sun is shining. and it's just that idyllic feel that you get in that morning. See, when you come to midday, boom, clouds are over, sun's disappeared. It's now you know, murky overall, and and everybody's woken up now. So there's a lot of noise round about you, just in the background. You know, historically, just you know, further afield. So I'm a big fan of trying to do stuff in the morning, especially at weekends, because obviously everything gets higher and more heated up during the day in terms of activity around about. So it's that noise pollution sort of thing. So if the less noise, the better decisions that people can make, because they can then see themselves relaxing in the garden out the back. They can see themselves going out for a coffee in the morning and just sitting in the sun, as I often do. I've got benches, you know, I bought for that reason, just to sit out in the sun first thing in the morning and just relax and just do nothing. Now, just do nothing is called mindfulness.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with you on that.
That's what they call it. I've been doing that for years.
But yeah, definitely that early to mid morning time, Jim, and for those reasons that you were talking about.
So I definitely think that, yeah, you're absolutely right, Andrea. Probably at the weekends. At night, let me think. Well, during the day, during the week, you think to yourself, it is going to be busy. There's some roads that are historically busy, especially going along the East Nuke every single time, back and forward, back and forward. That's why it says, you know, Saturday and Sunday mornings are quite good for that, except make sure it's not a Crail racetrack day, which is once a month, I think it is, because then they're all zooming along there, if that's the case. So these are all, it's your estate agent understanding exactly, and that's probably the most important thing about them
Local knowledge,
living and working in that area, because they'll know that. I mean, I know estate agents that are actually got offices in certain towns, but they actually live about, you know, 10 or 15 miles away, and they're not really there other than just for their work, and then they disappear. You'll never ever see them again. They don't even work in the community. They don't even do anything in the community. So how on earth can they talk about what there is? Because people buy lifestyle, and they'll pay a lot more for lifestyle than they will pay for a property.
Yeah.
So that's the sort of things I would do. So, you know, don't stop till you freshen up. Yeah, definitely. But your best as Mother Nature is the fresh air from outside, especially on a sunny day. That's what's going to do every single time. But if you've got the old things about your nose blind, we all know what that product is, then you maybe want to go round and give everything a quick spray before you start. But just spray it and don't overpower it. Like that's a good point, Richard, about different smells in every single room.
Yeah, it's too much.
It definitely puts a lot of people off, and it is almost like looking at a painting, and instead of just having a few colours, you've just got this boom, this collage and splash of whole different colours in it, and it looks noisy.
Yeah.
So when you put a whole lot of diffusers in different areas and all different smells around about your house, it smells noisy, if that makes sense. And it feels noisy. So that'll
be distracting.
Yeah, and noise is interpreted in that aspect as stress. So if you're pushing people's stressor buttons, then you're not going to get as good a result at the end of this when you're selling your house than any other time. So you want to avoid anything that will push the buyer's stressor buttons. This is where we come to the daily sweep.
Yeah, I was just going to go on about that. If you sort of get into the habit of resetting your living room before you go to sleep and make the beds as soon as you've had your coffee, and once it's woken you up, and then all that's left to do in the morning is a quick zip around before getting on with the day. I mean, that's being quite what's the word, regimented, I suppose, and disciplined to remember to do that.
I live in that household. See, every morning, as soon as I get out of my bed, the covers are pulled back, the windows are opened, and that's it left for the rest of the day. And I'm like, but I was going to go back to my bed. Well, you're not going back to your bed now. It's very rare. Very rare that I'll ever get back to my bed. Once my brain wakes up, that's me had it.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's good to allow your beds to breathe for a bit. I personally wouldn't make a bed straight up after getting out of it.
Dust mites. It's mites and everything. You know, that's why a lot of people do it. So just to bring the freshness back into it. I would say definitely. You can do a quick ready reckoner for anybody who wants to freshen up the room. Is take your duvet and just stick it in the wash, and then put it back on your bed. And I tell you what, you don't need any air fresheners or that, because that does all the work for you, because you've obviously just washed it. So the daily sweep, definitely, and it, you know, quick zip around, which with these finishing touches and final touches, your weekly preparations won't be overshadowed by your messy little details, I would say. Andrea, what are the things we've got to think about when we drill down to that, into the micro sphere about this? You know, the detail.
Yeah, well, you know, like when you're washing up, put everything away. Don't leave things to soak in the sink, and don't leave it out to dry. Just if you've got a dishwasher, put the stuff straight into the dishwasher, and it's out of sight, out of mind.
God, you need to tell Ben and Scott then. Hopefully, I'm just saying. We're at 50 minutes. I'll send them that wee clip there. Andrea said, "Put your stuff straight in the dishwasher." How is it they can't put their stuff straight in the dishwasher when the sink's right next to it? How is that
well, if
possible?
it's anything like my house, you won't do it properly. And
I have literally got 2 grown men now as sons, and they can't even put their plates in the dishwasher. They have to put them in the sink and leave them there. For some reason, they now and again they tell me that there must be a magic fairy going about this, because every time I put something down, it's like when I leave something on the floor, it gets washed and put back in my cupboard, and every time it goes in a sink, it gets washed and put back in the cupboard as well. They must have a magic fairy going around. It's like, well, that's me and your mum. Like, really? I never realised that.
Yeah, you would also want to leave all your internal doors open. Pull the curtains back to expose as much of your windows as possible, as we said before, because a home that feels full of light and flow is better than one that's dull and dingy.
Light is such a big thing, to have the natural light coming in as much as possible.
Yeah, in the bathroom, have a squeegee in the shower. I have one in the shower here, and you know, it's easy. It just hangs on the wall on a wee hook, and you just squeegee it all as soon as you're finished, and it's, you know, sparkles. You don't have to do an awful lot to it.
My bugbear every single time coming up right now is loo seats.
Oh yes.
It's like, my God, see the amount of times I go around and I look at other stations photographs and the seats up. And it's like, oh my God. It's like, do you realise you've got about, 50% of the audience wouldn't care. 50% does care. And you're immediately putting off 50%. You're causing a stressor when they're looking at your property, all because they took a photograph with your bathroom with a loo seat up.
Yeah.
See what I mean? Yeah. How that could cause when you're looking at that. It's the first thing people focus on. Or you've got a big overbearing rug in the middle of the room. You've got a beautiful, maybe oak floor, and then you've got this big, massive rug. It you know, suffocates it. And it's like, no, roll the rug up, take the photograph, then put it back down if you want, or just put it in the cupboard for now. Because your floor is beautiful, and it creates a lot more visual space when people see it, rather than actually almost seeing it, the rug merges into the furniture. Therefore, it looks cramped and dingy. It's like what you said about the natural light coming in. You know, would you have an oak floor or would you have a dark rug? Well, oak floor every single day, bright light.
Yeah.
So loo seats, definitely for me. It's the first thing I do when I walk around it. But a lot of people actually think that it's like, well, are we needing to leave the property now when you're going to do your video? And it's like, no. I've got to walk around and I've got to storyboard in my head now exactly what I'm going to do, exactly what I'm going to say, exactly what the property is going to look like, and I'm going to have my natural flow, and that takes about 15 to 20 minutes to sit and do that. And then you're coming with me because I'm going to ask you certain questions about certain things in this house from before, because often from time of me visiting them to time of video, it's maybe a couple of months when that happens. So I've forgotten a lot of the things that they told me originally. So it's no, we need to recap on this because this has to be perfectly presented, and it has to be one take. I'm not doing several takes and all the rest of it. This is the storyboard in my head. Understand what I do. Understand how it all connects. One take. Let's go. So I do take 15 to 20 minutes to walk around the house, put all the lights on, make sure I've got all the right ambient light in there, make sure I've got all the curtains open, make sure it's not too open, so as in order to distort the white balance. So when you come out the window with the camera, all of a sudden the room goes dark.
Mm-hmm.
So you've just got to make sure. So it's actually just testing the light as well with the camera as I'm panning round to make sure in some of the rooms it's going to show properly in the video as I go round. So it's all these different nuances, and in order to get that, this almost becomes an art form for me in terms of how I present something. And this is why when it brought it all back when you started talking about, you know, lucids, and leaving loads and loads of product round about your shower and your bath and your worktops and your floors, and it's like, and then you've got the carpet round the toilet. You know, that sort of, you know, the rug and the carpet. I mean, it used to be popular in the 70s. Not anymore. It's just a harbour for germs.
Yeah.
So it's a no-no. Get rid of it. Chuck it in the bin. It's gone. You know, just think Gordon Ramsay's coming around to your house and he's going to tell you how to do this. And it's like, he's not going to be kind about it. He's going to say, that's got to beep, go.
Yeah, I mean, you see some photographs, you know, and piled up beside the toilet are the bottles of bleach and the bathroom cleaner and the loo brush and goodness knows how many bottles of shampoo and conditioner, and like, just get a basin or a basket and put everything into it and take it out of the room, get the photos, you know, get the room set for your photos being done and for your viewing, and then when it's finished, you can put them back. But they don't need to be there at that point.
For that, for that purpose. Or maybe even start, it's the declutter thing again, isn't it? We go back to that saying about how to declutter. You know, I still wonder, I've just got one product for my hair, my body, my everything. Cleaning my teeth. Well, I've got hair here. Cleaning my teeth, and even it does everything. Cleaning the floor, cleaning the car, cleaning the engine, and I use it everywhere. Cleaning my glasses. It's just one product I use, so I don't know where all the 50 other bottles of shampoo and potions and mixtures come from in my household.
But maybe if it's a family home, and certainly if you've got older children in it, they're maybe, and you've only got one bathroom, they're maybe going to each have their own specific shampoo and things that they like. So, but it's just a case of put out of sight, out of mind. They can go back when they're needed. Get them to store them in their bedrooms in a cupboard or something.
Yeah, I mean, the post products thing is actually quite good. You know, the having post products. I think it's Bayliss and Harding or something.
Oh,
like that.
Yes.
It's I've got that, and then you've got the Dove. I mean, Dove's got a great smell to it. You know, Dove hand softener and creams and all the rest of that, and that's nice as well. So it's I suppose it's all these people that have these fantastic adverts on the telly. That's kind of the things you're wanting to be using, because then all your work's been done for you already.
It resonates with people.
Right. You don't need to think about what the premium product is, because you're watching it on the telly and there's so much amount of money, millions of pounds worth of money put into the market into these products. So all you need to do is place them in the right place in your bathroom so people can see them. And it immediately invokes and kickstarts that impression in somebody's mind about, wow, this house must be pretty special. It could be a bomb site, as I said. You know, some houses could be a bomb site, but I tell you what, if you do all these wee things and they compound to the end, it'll make a fundamental difference overall.
It's funny because I've just redone the WC at my mum's, and it's a nice white toilet and a vanity wash and basin. And sort of the theme is sort of grey, black, white and silver. And I had a bottle of Posh hand soap. And I put it in the middle of the basin just to display it, and I thought, nah, that's not going to do. I'm going to have to find another one, because the ring around the top of it is gold. And I thought, it doesn't go with anything. I need to find one silver.
I bet the thing is, they're buying your house.
I know. It's the little things that make the difference.
I was like, that's it. I'm not buying it now. It's like that. So if we could solve that problem with the gold ring on that soap product, would you buy the house? Yeah, absolutely. Right. We'll give you one for free for
Yeah.
$9.99.
Believe it. That'll be included.
We'll get a company in to decontaminate for that product then, if that's the case. Yeah, and it is, and probably finally for me it's about freeing up your floors with laundry in the basket and the games and the toys and all the clutter around about in crates, making that's all stored away, and paperwork and magazines back where they actually belong, and shoes lined up in an orderly fashion. But remember, if your shoes and your boots stink, you need to do something about them. Not leave them in the house. They'll absolutely put everybody off as a natural result of that. They don't care about it. They start to focus on that though, rather than actually focusing on your house.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Jim. And obviously the decluttering thing's such a big part of it. But what you really need to think about is people's sensory reaction to your home when they walk in it, and whether that's visually or through their smell or even the acoustics, like we said about positioning furniture in rooms and things. If it's a big room with high ceilings and things, think about how people their reception to that through their senses.
Definitely. Okay, final words, Andrea. We're finishing off now. What's your thoughts, and what would be what's the one thing out of this, what we've spoken about now, that you could tell people that they should be focusing on?
Share the load. Don't leave it all to one person, and make it a habit.
Very fair there.
Yes.
Is that striking a nerve?
Did it come over like that? No.
Yes. Ryan, are you listening? Richard, what's your final thought on this, and one thing that you could say to people?
Yeah, I think the approach to your decluttering is a big thing, and just there's a methodical process to that. And like you said, we shared the link that goes really in depth to it before. So have a read of that one as well, to that blog, because it's quite good.
Yeah, for me, I think it's all down to smells. It'll make or break your house sale. I'll definitely tell you that. If you've got the wrong smell, or you're overpowering smells or anything like that, it will put quite a lot of people off. It might not put everybody off, and you'll always say to yourself, oh well, I only need one person to buy, but the one person that would have paid the most money could be the person that you've just put off with the wrong smells overall. So I think for me it's all about smell, definitely. It's these things. It's the five senses. It's the visual, it's the smell, it's the touch, it's the all these different things that make a fundamental difference overall in terms of where your property is going to be positioned and how it's going to be marketed. Remember, marketed, not advertised. Advertising's put it on Rightmove and prime location. Marketing's about using video content, walkthroughs, retargeting campaigns through social media platforms, and using people's data to retarget them as well, to get right in front of the exact audience you're after. Overall, I think that's the fundamental difference between just an estate agent and a world-class estate agent. That will separate them like night and day. And yet, on the face of it, everybody thinks, well, they're just an estate agent. It's like, no, it's not like that at all. The most fundamental question, just to finish off, anybody should ask, is how much more than the home report value do you achieve on average over 2023? That is what you should be asking every single estate agent that walks in your door. How much more than the home report value have you achieved on average over the year of 2023? And that's how you benchmark everybody to realize how much more they can get for you than anyone else. That would be my best advice. Okay, thanks very much for coming on the show. Really appreciate that. And we'll be doing Sunday night update tomorrow night. I'll be doing that at 7 o'clock. And Richard, you've got the Wealth Creation show on Monday, 12:30. What are you doing?
We're talking about how to get rich without winning the lottery.
Ooh, that'll be good. Well, I'm interested in it. So we want to teach people that then, eh?
Yeah, we're quite good.
Okay, that's it. Thanks very much for everybody tuning in. If you've got any questions later on, please feel free to message them or put them in the comments, and we'll come back to you. Until next time, guys, have a fantastic day and a fantastic weekend. And it's bye-bye from us. Bye-bye for now.
Bye-bye.